have you ever made any mistakes on thinking that someone had a pure heart? That's my first part of my question. And then what have you seen in people initially that can be a telltale sign that they probably have a pure heart?
Okay, so good question. The reason why I started laughing at the first question, because my first answer was yes, I've made mistakes, but usually in my personal dating life.
Right. Right. We all have.
I was like, I thought you were a nice guy,
Right. Right.
kind artist.
Right.
But I say that jokingly, but I think um, there are people who present in a way that's disingenuous. And what so my godmom, she always tells me that I learn as I'm interacting with people, and my nature is to pay attention to details. And so after a while, I'll see something, and she says, "Well, now you have enough information to make a decision." And so I I don't claim, and I don't think I have like an instant ability to judge a person's character. I do give people an opportunity. And as my aunt who raised me would say, give each person enough rope to hang themselves.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
what that means is instead of prejudging people, give everyone an opportunity to prove to you who they are. And if they will be eliminated from your life, they will hang themselves with that rope. If you give them enough rope to um, come in, they'll end up hanging themselves with it.
Right. Right. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
and I think the analogy comes. Um, I went to this African inspired wedding one time, and they put the rope around the couple, and one person pulled on one end, and the other person pulled on another end. And when you pull the rope and create the tension, it was supposed to bring the two people together. And I'm tying that to if you give somebody rope that's supposed to pull you together, they will end up hanging themselves if their intentions aren't good.
You're right. That's a good way to put it. Good way
Yeah.
to put it. Now,
Yeah.
tell me
And
who
you had a
you
second
were.
question. There was
Um,
a second part to that last question.
but it was you pretty much answered it. It was basically, what do you like? What can you like? What are the telltale signs that let you know that someone is pure hearted? And you said
Uh,
it takes you a while to figure it out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You give me a
Okay.
chance. All right. So tell me who Hadia Nicole was before she was Dr. Green. Like what was like? Who were you growing up? Take me all the way back.
Okay, good question. So, when I was a little girl, my biological mom passed away when I was 18 months. I didn't know my biological father. And before I found out who he was, he passed away. So I never got a chance to meet him. My maternal grandparents took my two brothers and I in, and they both passed away in the same year when I was 4 years old. So my aunt, Aura Lee Smith, and her husband, General Lee Smith, took me in after raising 8 children of their own, took my brothers and I in after raising 8 children of their own. So I became number 11 in the family. And I grew up as a tomboy. My brothers treated me like the third brother. And I was fascinated and played with bugs and climbed trees and pop willies. And I still did little things like double dutch and hopscotch with chalk on the sidewalk. I grew up in St. Louis in an all black neighborhood. And the the parts about my childhood that I think most attributed to me being where I am now was when I was in kindergarten. My brother was in fourth grade, and he used to have me do his homework.
Wow.
So I got on this accelerated track, and he ended up repeating the fourth grade. I became the first in the family to graduate from college. Um,
Right.
and the my love for learning came from him. And may
Mhm.
he rest in peace. He actually passed as I was
Oh,
starting graduate school from natural causes, but he gave me my love for learning. He made learning fun. And everything, it was like, oh, you can do it, you can do it. I bet you can figure it out. And it was like the call out and the challenge. Yeah, you got this, you got this. And he would literally cheerlead while I was doing the problems. And
mhm.
when I would come back, and I'm like, oh, I did it. Well, let me see if you did it right. And so he's like, okay, next time, don't miss any. And he would push me like a little brother, but he made me tough and he would pick fights with me. And I'm like, I don't want to fight. You gonna fight. Sometimes you don't need to fight. You don't want to fight, but you have to fight. And so he would push me and he was my first bully.
Okay.
And he would
Okay.
make me, now mind you, he was like twice my size, but he would make
Mhm.
me like make a fist, throw a punch. And he had me so tough as a little kid. And
Mhm.
those things, I guess, maybe made that competitive side of me come out, because I won't pick a fight, but if someone's picking a fight, I will fight the fight for a right cause. um,
Mhm.
let's see, when I was in middle school, I was cheerleader, co-captain, and SGA president. I was in Future Business Leaders of
Okay.
America. And then when I went to high school, I was class president all 4 years in high school. I was on the mock trial team. We placed as state champions, or placed in the state championship competition, I should say. I was this girl in my high school. I was a sprinter, but I hyperextended one knee and tore the ACL in the other knee. And that's when I going to go to college on the track scholarship. I thought, so I better buckle down and get my grades up so I can get a scholarship.
Mhm.
And that's what set me on the path to making sure my grades. And I ended up getting a full academic scholarship to Alabama A&M University. Go Bulldogs!
Good.
And um, that's the, yeah. So I guess that's the short version. There are probably more details, but yeah, that's
Right.
some of my background that led me here. And when I was at Alabama A&M University, I interned at NASA. I interned at University of Rochester Institute of Optics, and I worked in one of the physics labs on campus. So
Mhm.
I had all of this experience. And the day, oh, actually, this was another fun fact. I think you know, but I was Miss Alabama A&M University and served as queen for a year. And the cool part about that, I'll tell you, I wore head wraps all the time back then, and
Mhm.
I took the Afrocentric definition of a queen and took being Miss Alabama A&M back to queen status, back to Africa, when queens were leaders. And so I changed the dynamic of how Miss Alabama A&M was in that era.
Mhm.
And instead of having the big white ball gowns for my coronation, I said, everybody wear African attire. So we had like a coming to America style coronation when I was crowned Miss A&M. And it was literally legendary. People still talk about that now. And during my
Good.
homecoming speech, I had the whole stadium, if you can imagine, the stadium full of people at homecoming shouting Harambe 7 times. It was powerful. And for those who may not know, Harambe is Swahili for come together.
Yeah.
So, um, and I was also part of the Pan African Alliance. So a lot of these things shaped who and how I am. And another major part of my upbringing and my transition and coming of age was Delta Sigma Theta mentored me as a Deltine. As I went through this rites of passage program that was a year-long training on how to be a woman, how to become a woman. I was 18 years old, and my 17 to 18 years old, and they instilled in us the sense of responsibility to the community no matter where we go on the planet. And these are the things that inform how and why I'm doing my business model the way I am now. So, for those who may not know, all of this led up to um, my aunt and uncle both having experiences with cancer, and me developing a technology that eradicates cancer, and we've shown it works in mice. And instead of going the for-profit route, I've turned down investors and started a nonprofit to raise the money to keep this technology affordable and accessible for the community, especially people who look like me with backgrounds like mine. And I said, with so a lot of people never take the time to ask me about kind of my prior journey that shaped my philosophy of why am I how I am now? And all of these things led to how I am now.